Okay, I'm not going to go through operations with decimals because I'm assuming you guys can handle that. I just want to talk about our last topic in our basic arithmetic, which is problems that look like this. Now, when you look at a problem like that, there are three things that have to happen there. And there are different ways you could look at it. It might be really tempting to look at that and say, I'm just going to go left to right, just like reading a book. And that would kind of make sense, but it would give you the wrong answer. So to make sure that two people look at that problem and get the same answer, we've defined something called the order of operations. Now, the order of operations is often defined as a series of steps, and that's not really what it is. What the order of operations really is are levels of priority. Certain things have priority over others. So that first level of priority is something called enclosing symbols. Most of us have heard this defined simply as parentheses, but it's more than parentheses. There's several other types of enclosing symbol. Second is exponents. There are two types of exponents. We can have powers and we can have roots. Third level of priority is multiplication and division. And then our final level of priority is addition and subtraction. So looking back at our original problem here, are there any enclosing symbols? No. Any exponents? No. Multiplication and division? Yes, there is. We have 3 times 8. So what we have to do is we combine those two numbers with the multiplication and then leave everything else the same. So 3 times 8 is 24. The rest of the problem stays the same. Now, we technically should check down through the level of priorities again, but we know there's no enclosing symbols. We know there's no exponents. Is there any other multiplication or division? No. So we're down to addition and subtraction. And right now we have one of each. So if we have two operations that are on the same level, then we do go left to right. So we're going to do the 7 plus 24 first, which is 31. Then we still have the subtracting 5. So 31 minus 5 is 26. Let's look at something slightly more difficult than that. So looking at something like this. First level of priority, of course, is enclosing symbols, and we have some. We have this set of parentheses right here. So what that means now is we're going to narrow our focus to what's inside that set of parentheses. So inside the blue box. Inside there, the order of operations still applies. Do we have any other enclosing symbols? No. So next level of priority, do we have any exponents? Yes, we do. We have the power. 4 squared, which is 16. Everything else in this problem stays the same. Any more exponents? No. So in the next level, multiplication and division. Now remember, we're still working inside the parentheses. What do we have? 3 times 5, which is 15. So again, everything else stays the same. Now, so far you notice I've combined the two numbers and then rewrote the whole rest of the problem. From my experience, I find that most of the mistakes are made by screwing up rewriting the rest of the problem. So I'm going to use a little shortcut from here on out. What's the next thing that has to be done here? Perfect. We're still inside the parentheses. There's no more multiplication or division, so we're doing addition and subtraction. And again, we go left to right. 8 plus 15 is 23. So I'm just going to erase the 8 plus 15 and put in the 23. Is there anybody in their notes that wants me to write it all the way out so they can keep up with their notes? Okay. What happens next then? Subtraction. 23 minus 16, which is 7. Now we've reduced what's inside the parentheses to a single number. And anytime we do that with an enclosing symbol, we don't need the enclosing symbol anymore. So I can take out the parentheses. Now in this case, when I take out the parentheses, I have to be careful. Can anybody see what I'm talking about? This 2 up here. What do we have to do with it? We have to put in multiplication. Perfect. Anytime there is a number outside of an enclosing symbol with no operation there, it is implied that it is multiplication. So when we take out those parentheses, we have to put in that multiplication. So now that we're done with that set of parentheses, we go back to our priorities. Now there's no enclosing symbols, no exponents, but there is multiplication. 2 times 7 is 14. Now all that's left is addition, so we'll go left to right. 7 plus 14 is 21, plus another 1 is 22. Let's have you guys try one. Okay, let's have you guys try that one quick. I'll pause the recording for you. I'll be done all the way, but let's go ahead and take a look at it anyway. You can finish up as we go through if you want to. What's the first thing we would do here? Okay, well, remember, let's go through our priorities and do it step by step. First level priority is enclosing symbols. We have more than one here. So as always, we start from left to right. We start with this one as our first one. Where's its other end? All the way over here after the 1. So we're starting inside that set of parentheses, inside the red box. Now, as we said before, our order of operations still applies inside that parentheses. So we still have to look for more enclosing symbols. And we have one right there. So now we're concentrating inside the purple box. In there, are there any more enclosing symbols? No, not anymore. Next level of priority, exponents. Yeah, there's the 4 squared, which will be 16. Good. The rest of the problem stays the same. I'm just rewriting it so now I can start erasing and replacing here. So now what's next? We're still working inside. Okay, yes, we have to do the multiplication now. So we have to do 5 times 7, which is 35, good. And then the 6 times 2, which is, or 16 times 2, sorry, is 32. And then subtract 35 minus 32, which is 3. Now we've reduced what's inside that set of parentheses to a single number, so what do? Drop the parentheses and remember to put in multiplication. Good. Now we're out to this larger set of parentheses. What's next? Which one? Left to right. So 5 times 4 is first, which is 20. And then 3 times 3 is 9. Perfect. Then what? Left to right, addition, subtraction. Yes, 2 plus 20 is 22. And then 22 minus 9 is 13. And then 13 plus 1 is 14. Now what? Got the parentheses, and once again we have to put in multiplication. Now, what's next? 3 times 14, which is 42. And then 3 times 7 is 21. And then add left to right. 6 plus 42 is 48. Plus 21 is 69. How many people got that? Good. Anybody not sure where they went wrong? Okay. Let's look at something slightly different. Look at a problem like this. First thing we have to do is we have to figure out what this line across here means. What does it mean? Okay, division. Yeah, it's what we call a fraction bar, and it does mean divide, but it's also an enclosing symbol. It separates part of the problem from the rest. So it's telling us that we have to do everything on top first, then everything on bottom, and then we have to divide. So let's start out on top. I'm going to write that over here. What do we have to do first there? 7 times 5 is 35. And then the 4 times 2 is 8. Then what? $35 plus 8 is 43. Plus 5 is 48. So the top of this becomes 48. Now let's do the bottom. What do we do first down there? 5 squared is 25. And then 2 times 4 is 8. And then subtract left to right. 25 minus 8 is 17. Minus 1 is 16. So the bottom is 16. So I have 48 over 16, which divides out to be 3. Any questions? Let's have you guys try one similar to that. So let's try that one. I'll pause the recording for you. Let's take a look. I realize you might not be quite done yet, but let's see how you did. Let's see how close you're getting. So on this one, there's actually two separate problems combined. We have this one first, then this one, and then we're going to combine them. Because remember, this means division and this means division, so you have to do the division before you can add. So on the first one here, what do we have to do first? 4 squared, which is 16. Then what? So 27 minus 16 is 11, minus 1 is 10. I cheated a little bit there to save space, but you guys catch everything I did, right? On the bottom, what do we do next? Square root of 4, which is 2. And then 4 times 2, which is 8. 8 plus 2 is 10. So 10 on bottom. So what do we get there? 10 divided by 10 is 1. Perfect. Over here, what do we do first? Multiply. 5 times 3 is 15. And then 5 times 2 is 10. 15 plus 10 is 25. On bottom, squared, so 4 squared is 16. 7 times 3 is 21. Subtract to get 5. 25 over 5 is 5, so that adds up to 6. How many of you had 6? Cool. So on this one, we've had square roots in our problems before, but what's different about this one? Yeah, there's more than one number inside here. Here's a case where that square root symbol, or the radical symbol is its formal name, not only serves as a square root, but it also serves as an enclosing symbol. It's separating part of the problem from the rest. So we have to do the stuff inside here first. So in there, what is our first thing to do? The exponent. 8 squared, which is 64. Good. What's next? Multiply. 5 times 11 is 55. And then subtract. 64 minus 55 is 9, correct? Now with parentheses, once we had it down to a single number, we could get rid of the parentheses. Well, the same thing happens here. We have a single number inside our enclosing symbol. We can get rid of the enclosing symbol. The difference is with a square root, there's actually something we have to do when we get rid of it. What is the square root of 9? 3. And just like with parentheses, we have the 5 outside the symbol with no operation, so it's going to be 5 times the 3. Then what? Five times 3 is 15. 7 plus 15 is 22. Okay, I don't know about you guys, but I've had enough for the first night of class. I have, in New Richmond, they said they were going to have the LRC, the computer lab and the LRC open until, I said 8 o'clock. She might only have a few minutes. Here, I do have a computer lab reserved. If you want to come, it's just a few rooms down here. If you want to come down and get your My Math Lab registered and start on your first homework, I will go down there. New Richmond, I will check back into the room here every 5 minutes or so. So if you have any questions, just come back into the ITV room and I'll be back to check on you. So that'll be it. They close down at 7. Okay, they told me 8 tonight.